Good morning, good morning. Coffee and Castiles. So, good morning, man. It is good to see
Good morning.
everybody. But I gotta be careful getting around
Another
the
week.
studio and stuff like that. Good morning,
They got
Seth.
me used to this.
Great
Good
to see you, man.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. Loving the energy that God blessed us with today. So, if everyone could share, that'd be a great blessing.
Take a minute. Just some. If you are local, put your city down, share this with your friends and family. We always appreciate you getting it out there and sharing with us what's going on. Good morning, David. Good morning, Kelsey. Good morning, Kat. How's everybody doing this morning? Please share this. We want to set the record today for views, so that would be awesome. We'd love to have so many people. This is an important business day. I got an incredible guest here today. Seth is a serial entrepreneur, been doing this thing for 15 plus years. He's the owner of Start the Mo, startthemo.com. Not only that, but I've known Seth for 20 plus years now. I mean, we went to elementary school together at Harrisburg Christian the whole way to 10th grade. Some crazy things is we were a small little school, and as we got older, our sophomore year of high school, you guys were little old Harrisburg Christian was balling out.
Some good players.
Yeah, you guys did some big things. So you played Scotland. Was that this your time?
We played Scotland. They had some good players, but yeah, we just had a real good group of guys, and it was really
crazy
really
for
fun.
a small school.
Yep.
I mean, we had like 25 kids.
Well, the
in
small
class.
schools can recruit, so you know how. That works.
Yeah, very true, very true. We might, Mr. Fortney, I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Gerald Jarman, what's up, guys? So anyway, today we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. You know how much we love to have people that are doing big things in their industries part of what we do. So if you have time, guys, please share, because we're going to be going over today what Seth does best. And he goes around and he speaks to different companies, works with different companies on really building a business and doing it at a high level, keeping the momentum going in your business, building momentum, what it looks like to not have momentum, and just incredible things. Seth has an executive MBA from Villanova University. He graduated from Penn State University. He's married to Janelle. They live in the Hershey area.
Yep.
And you are expecting a newborn, right?
Yep, we're expecting a girl in May, so that's really exciting.
That's awesome, man.
So life will change.
Oh, a lot. You get to enjoy the joys and also the stresses of fatherhood very shortly. It's a blast. It's so incredible to be able to have a kid. But
Morning, babe.
It's
Morning,
also
Kat, Kelsey, Dave.
things will change a lot.
Yeah.
So
Eric, good morning.
I first and foremost, let's just how did you? I mean, going back to how we met. When was your first job?
Man, that goes way back. I think it started with my parents because they were so tight on things. They didn't. I played basketball. I played sports.
Sure.
And they made me buy my own stuff.
Sure.
So that was kind of brutal. But I remember being at around 8 years old, and I worked at a local grocery store
Okay.
to pick up trash.
Nice.
And that's
what
how
grocery store?
It was
Child labor laws. No. I'm just
right.
No, I mean we're
yeah, they're not in business anymore. But yeah, so that made money so I could buy baseball cleats, football cleats,
Sure.
basketball shoes. So that's kind of where it started, and it was. I guess it taught me a lot about life.
Yeah, and, I mean, you've always been an athlete,
Yeah.
so those things were important to you.
Right.
And I would say that those at that time in your life, and at that time in my life when I was younger. I mean, sports was our passion.
Right.
So you were willing to do
I'll pick up cigarette butts, trash, whatever. I'm gonna get my shoes
because it was your passion,
yeah,
right?
Exactly, yeah.
And no one wants to go play basketball without basketball shoes.
Correct.
So that's a really awesome
Morning,
start
Debbie.
to
Morning, Scotty.
how you got there. Good morning, Mom. Hey, how are you doing? Seth Lewis is with us today.
Please, if you could hit the share button on the
Please,
bottom
please.
left corner, we really appreciate it. You're going to get information, inspiration,
perfect.
and you're going to get some
right
deals
here.
at the end.
Yep.
So it really helps out a lot. That's how we, as the people, can help
Yes,
the
sir.
people out grow. So we appreciate it. And then you can even hit the watch party, which is great. And then your friends can come on. And it's really doing our own engagement, helping each other out. So it's good to see everyone. Great to have you. And if you could put your town, And why I ask people to put the town is it really shows how we connect globally and locally, right? Because we're connected in that way. So
We love that. Where are you from? Tell us about it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
please.
it's neat because we've seen people all over the place.
Yeah.
Like that popped in, different countries even. So
Good
you know,
morning.
if anybody that is watching right now, please share, guys. We cannot do this without you. We want everyone to be involved this morning. This is going to be a wealth of knowledge, some tips, some tricks, and some different ways to really get things flowing. And I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot of
Hi, Mrs. Lapjaw.
golden nuggets passed around.
Middletown.
So-
nice.
Hometown.
There were some deals for Middletown.
We do have some
Ice
deals in
Fire,
Middletown.
right?
Yep, and
Nice.
Middletown today.
I brought some cash. Is that
Yes, we can make that happen.
All right.
So we're going to talk today. I would really want to introduce Seth here. Today at the show we have Seth Lewis. He's literally called the Momentum Guy. Seth is a serial entrepreneur who has owned and owns various companies. Seth has developed an exclusive system on how to break down and teach the parts of starting and to sustaining momentum over the past 15 years of business. Currently, Seth works as a business and executive coach, an intern executive, and speaker to help organizations start and sustain momentum. So he is really the guy that if you're having any trouble or you just want to know how to get things rolling in your business, they're going to give you a call, right?
Right.
And it's just what you teach. Even if they don't need it, you're going to speak about it.
Right.
So how did you get to this point? Obviously, 15 years of business experience is a ton. So let's talk about that. Where did it start from? Who is Seth Lewis? And from start to today, where you at?
So starting as a kid, I think it was something partly that I was born with, the entrepreneurial spirit.
Sure.
As a kid, I was trying to sell bike races in my backyard.
Nice.
So
That's excellent.
right there, making a business plan of how I could make money at a young age.
Sure.
So people say, what is a serial entrepreneur? I get that question a lot. I would say it's a career entrepreneur. It's somebody that in my adult career, I've never been paid by anybody else except for my organizations.
That's crazy.
So
That's nuts.
Right.
So you've never gotten a paycheck from anybody else 18 plus
Right.
other than writing it to yourself, signing your own check.
Correct.
That's wild.
Right.
And not many people can say that. I bet you, I'm looking for one other person on this show that can say nobody else has ever signed their paycheck except for themselves.
Right.
That's awesome. All right, so there.
So throughout the journey, and the other thing about a serial entrepreneur is entrepreneurs recognize an opportunity to solve a problem.
Without a doubt.
So throughout my career, I've seen a lot of different challenges or problems that I thought I could give insight to or help solve.
Sure.
And that's led me to all the different ventures that we have, from real estate. We had a mobile detailing service where we did the boats at Bass Pro.
Wow.
So if you brought your boat into Bass Pro, it was our company that would come in and clean them.
Wow.
Had a barber shop.
Nice.
So got into
Did you
that
cut hair?
somehow. No.
just owning the
yeah,
property. Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
So just as a business person, being able to implement systems and help build momentum through that. We have a commercial grounds and landscape maintenance contracting firm.
Okay.
In-ground swimming pool.
Wow.
We do design build.
Yeah. We've been thinking about putting one in. So,
Yeah.
we were talking about that a bit ago. But that's awesome, man. You've just been all over the place. So
Right.
what else you got?
A lot of stuff. There's a lot of things. So, we're working on a platform now, to be able to connect users from in the service industry
Sure.
to be able to partner with them with providers. So that's
wow.
another thing that we're working on.
How is that? Like a data analytics system or what's
We
that
use
look
a
like?
lot of data, but it's trying to pair people that have a need with people that can provide.
Sure.
And it's the same philosophy as your Ubers,
Fixing-
your Lyfts,
yeah.
all those type of areas.
Will that all be like tech type app type setup? Is that the mindset there?
Yeah,
Nice.
it'd be launched that way. And we're just looking, everything
Robbie,
has been about
Morning,
building
man.
momentum. So now I talk about, over these last 15 plus years, what have we done to start and sustain it?
Sure.
And what I've found is some people can start it easily,
Yeah,
but then they lose it. The wheels fall off the bus.
definitely.
And other people can't start it, and they don't know how to sustain it either.
Yeah.
So you have both areas. So we address those, and momentum's something that everybody from your CEO to your frontline worker really can understand. We see it all the time. We've
Sure.
all experienced momentum in some way. So looking at everything that we've done, we said, how do we package that and get that out there and help others? And that becomes a passion.
And when did you find that was what was your? I mean, obviously we all watch sports. All three of us here are big into sports. We all enjoy it. We've watched the momentum shift in sports games, basketball games, wrestling match, whatever it is that we hold dear to our heart and we really like. There's always a change in momentum. But how did you understand that at some point that was not just athletics or whatever it may be, that was really the moving factor and the passion on what made 9 businesses that you've been a part of continue to move forward and continue to grow? How did you decide that was what needed to be packaged up and brought to other individuals?
So I think in the world today, when you go to seminars and you go to different engagements, I felt that there was something missing the holistic picture of.
Sure.
An example is leadership. So you go to leadership training and you just focus on leadership. But I felt that there was something missing holistically of there's more pieces to just that one topic. So you go to a seminar on culture, you go to a seminar on leadership, you go to a seminar on business, but you're not getting a holistic approach. So I looked at what we were doing and I said, you have to combine all these things. They have to be together.
Sure.
You can't just go to a leadership conference and come back and think that's going to change it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it came from. And we said, we recognize the areas that build momentum. We have a way that we said, these are the topics that we say start it. And then on our meter, we designed a momentum meter. And then we said, these are the ones that actually sustain it. So we can clearly identify these areas and we're able to teach on that, which it's applicable to all businesses.
Sure.
From small businesses are up to 50 million roughly.
Sure.
And then medium are 50 million to 1 billion. And then you have your global companies, which are $1 billion plus.
Yeah.
So this process works at all levels. You just have to break it down with your business unit or your team.
And with you, you figured that out, which is awesome. But now you talk about small business, medium business, large business. In your professionalism so far with Start to Mow and everything that you've been doing, who have you been involved with? What companies, you might not be able to share names exactly, whatever it may be, but what size business have you seen this really work? We're going to get into a pretty cool meter that you have here in a second that everybody needs to stay tuned for because it's going to be really, really awesome to see. But what businesses have you been involved with, and what size, and how have you seen it affect them?
Right. So I can't give exact businesses out.
Sure, of course.
But what I will say is, in my journey at Villanova, when I was getting my executive MBA, I was been able to talk and work with organizations informally before we even started this. So we were working and talking to different groups, and in my cohort, a lot of them are the global businesses across the world.
Sure.
So it's really exciting to see that when we deal with people and we look at process or systems, it's the same, but if you're looking at a global firm, it just has more zeros on it.
Sure.
So if you're dealing with leadership, culture, the global companies use lots of consultants and lots of different, because the stakes are so high.
Sure.
So stakes are high when you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, and it's your only livelihood.
Sure.
But stakes are high. I mean, if you get momentum going at a Coke level or a Nike level,
sure.
I mean, the return. So one of the things we'll look at in a little bit is the ROI and how those things work. But the ROI, if we get momentum going with this momentum meter, the return is that much greater.
Yeah.
It's that powerful. And they're constantly looking at ways and you say about there's challenges at small business, but there's just as many, if not more, challenges at any level. And that's the one thing that I learned, because when I went into the executive MBA program at Villanova, I mostly did have smaller to mid-sized business experience.
Sure.
But I realized that through talking to people, some of the people actually came to me on the side and say, hey, we have these problems. How do we solve them? Here's some ideas, or here's what we're dealing with. How do we address these issues?
Sure.
So that made me realize, and it put even more momentum behind the ideas that we had,
Sure.
was these things work.
Yeah.
Because if they're at a global firm, they're traveling all over the world, and they're saying, hey, what should we do here? And I can say, hey, this is some areas, and they say,
Sure.
wow.
Definitely.
So that's where we came up with it, and it works across at all levels.
Nice. Okay. Well, I think it's just incredible to see, and I think that some people just think that those mid-sized business to big business is out of reach. But really, if you can build momentum the way we're about to talk about right now with this momentum,
Right.
like that, your dreams, your goals are, the sky's the limit.
Right.
You can turn a small business into whatever you want to if you build the right structure,
Right.
build the right core leadership, and get the momentum rolling.
The other thing about large units you have to remember is at your global firms and your mid-sized business, whatever,
Terrence Morning,
they
Dimitri.
actually have small, they call them business units. So they have units that are companies within companies.
Sure.
So there's much smaller touch points that you can work
Yeah,
with. So
sure.
you have to, that's a key thing to remember.
It's really businesses within a business. Yeah.
Exactly.
Morning.
All right,
Please share.
So let's get into this because this is a incredible tool that you've come up with personally, right?
Correct. Yep.
So Seth, this is his tool. His company, Start to Mow, came up with this. Please focus on what this looks like. I am going to see if I can't expand this a little bit for you so we can go piece to piece and you can see what it looks like. So you're going to work from the green?
Yep. We'll go to the green and we'll go over to the red.
So these are things you need to really get momentum started in your business and then create the flow. And this is what he does. This is what, if you need his assistance, he's going to walk you through it. He's going to show you how to use this. But you're going to get something today that probably not many people get without paying you for it. Huh?
Right. So this is a lot of value right here.
Yeah, there's some secret sauce right here. So, guys, if you have time, hold on. This is something, if you're a business owner, if you're in a business, if whatever you're doing, if you're in an executive position in a business, this is something you need to know, need to focus on, and you're getting a whole bunch of free knowledge today on something that would probably cost a couple $1,000.
Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, it adds up quick, right?
Yeah.
So let's check it out. Let's look at it. Seth, give us a breakdown of what we're looking at here.
So the first thing, going back to what I was saying, is we're looking at a holistic approach. So if you look at the screen here and you say,
And when you say holistic, just for those who...
yeah, holistic means it's an overall encompassing of a lot of different pieces, a lot of different parts. So like I said earlier with leadership, people think that leadership is, if I'm a good leader, that just makes everything fall into place. And we said, no, we have 7 elements, 7 key gauges that we measure that will build momentum. And if you look at the meter, the first 4 are how we start it.
Sure.
And the next 3 are how we sustain it.
Okay.
So starting with awareness. Awareness is something that you have to be able to identify a challenge, a goal, or an initiative.
Yep,
if you can't do that, you're going nowhere. Right?
Without a doubt.
So you have to be aware of your industry, yourself. It could be your company awareness, what's happening within your company.
Sure.
So to get started, you have to be aware. So a lot of times people will they look at this leadership, and I'm going to go back to that a lot and say, we started leadership, and if we start there, everything will fall in line. But you have to be aware of what's going on. The future of work is something that's very dynamic. It's a very hot topic.
Sure.
If you don't understand how people and technology are blending together and the skills that people are going to be needing in the future, and if you're not adjusting to that currently in business, you're going to be left in the dust.
Without a doubt. I mean, that's... How are you going to feel about that? So this is totally off topic, but we talk about this all the time, is being left in the dust. Like, I have a buddy who I make sure my kids don't get a lot of screen time. You're about to have a kid, so this is an important question for you. But he's one of those, it's like, he's one of those guys, every time I have an argument with him, he's like, dude, like, what do you think your kid's going to be doing in 20 years? Like his kids always have a phone, a laptop, something, an iPad, something in front of them, playing with it all the time.
Right.
And just like you said, technology and people are mixing heavily, so you need to know what the future of work is going to look like. Do you think that there's like a limit on that, or do you think it's just going to be so much technology in the next 20 years that like maybe you shouldn't limit your children on screen time and stuff like that, because the better they are at this, the more money they're going to make.
Kelsey, thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, I think there's a
NYC.
there's a blend to it, so it's not necessarily, and there's shifts. So what I'll say is when people look at the future, the myth is, oh, technology is going to replace everything, it's going to dominate everything.
Sure.
That isn't the case. So if you look at any of the future of work studies with your McKinsey's, Deloitte's, your PwC's, anyone that's doing research on this at a high level
Sure.
is working how that blends.
Sure.
So you're still going to need interaction time. You're still going to need, there's still so many valuable soft skills and everything else that goes with it.
So being able to talk is going to still be important.
Correct.
Personal relationships,
Yeah.
right?
And you know how trends go. Kids
Morning,
that grow
Kurt.
up with it will say maybe, I wouldn't be surprised, and this
Please
is a
share
prediction,
this,
so
y'all.
watch this in 10 years, but
Drop
if
your
sometimes kids say, I want to get away from this. I've grew up with it with my whole life, and I want to make a switch.
Sure.
So things always go back. It's like, well, our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents might have had a
Frank the
farm
Tank, good
and
morning.
grew stuff in their
Please share it.
backyard.
Sure.
And now there's people that say, well, I want to produce my own stuff.
For sure, without a doubt.
So everything goes in cycles. I don't really worry about
Those types of things.
all those things. I think they all work out, and balance naturally happens.
Sure.
Obviously, it goes extreme for a little bit,
Sure.
but then it goes back.
Comes back. Yeah.
Morning, Kat. Good morning, Kirk. Good morning, Stevie. Good morning, Frank. Please share this out. Start a watch party.
I knew
It's
Debbie
good to
would be on my side.
It is good to see everybody.
Gotta
this
limit
morning.
screen time. All right, so we're at awareness, future of work, and you got to be aware of the need for momentum.
Yeah, so once you understand how powerful momentum is, if you understand that, then that's another part of it. You have to say, I need momentum. And if I have momentum, it's a game changer.
Sure.
So if you recognize that, if you're watching, you say, I'm in business. If I can get momentum on my side, it's game over.
Sure.
So how do I do that?
Definitely.
And that's where we start. So that's the first part. And that's with anything. And when you talk about even personal life,
Sure.
if you don't have awareness with who you are and what you're doing and everything else, you can
Definitely.
really be thrown off.
Terry, morning.
Without a doubt.
You see
Debbie, good morning.
leaders come into an organization and they're not aware of either bad habits or they're not a good leader. So I mean, it just starts everything.
Sure.
So that's our number one. Gotta have awareness. The next thing is value. And what is the impact? So in our organization, in our service line for awareness, we said we want to embrace the future of work. We want to go 100% digital.
Yeah.
So we said all of our
Dave,
service
morning.
providers or all of
Sloan.
our techs and our service
Please
businesses
share.
are digital. So they
Sure.
use either a tablet or a phone or whatever,
Yeah.
and everything's right there. It improved our data, it improved the way that we function, and that was a future of work initiative that we drove. So we were
Sure.
aware that in order to stay relevant and drive the next 10, 20, 30 years, we had to make this adjustment. So that was our awareness. That's what we did.
Sure.
Then we said, well, what's the value of that?
Sure.
So what's the impact? So the impact is we had service members that didn't use technology. So in the process, we were reskilling
Nikki,
Wow.
Scotty.
people, and not just for our organization. Think about this. In the next 10 years or 5 years, if somebody's using a flip phone still, are they still going to be relevant?
No, they're not. I mean, they're not relevant right,
Right.
now.
Right,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? So.
So that's impact. We talk about impact, that's powerful. So all of a sudden we're training people to use technology that typically might not use it.
Sure.
Really, really. So that we said there's value in that.
Sure.
Not just for our company and our organizations, but for,
Yeah.
the people that are with us.
Awesome.
Defining our why. So our why was, hey, what are we doing for our people? What are we doing for our customers? What are we doing for the company? And we define that. And then ROI. If you understand ROI, let me tell you something. Anytime you go to your CFO or you go to an investor
Rossi.
or
Sure.
anybody, if you know your ROI and can clearly define that, you'll get the money.
Yeah. That's for sure.
You'll get it.
Yeah, without doubt. Yeah.
So, and the other thing with ROI is a lot of people, if you're in an organization and your program's getting cut, it's because you don't know how to define ROI.
Sure.
That's a value piece.
And what
of
is
it.
ROI? Just for those
It's
who know.
your return on your investment. So if I'm going to do this initiative,
More
if
than
I'm
more.
going to do this initiative, if I'm going to conquer this challenge, if I'm going to invest in this, this is what the investment is. This is what I'm going to get back.
So that's the front end. The return on your investment is what you get on the back end.
Right.
Awesome.
So our return was a lot of things. By going digital, it taught our team members, it reskilled them for a potential another career. They don't have to be with us forever.
Sure.
They can go, they're becoming better people. And then obviously we had data that we could use and leverage, and data is power.
Sure.
So-
That is for sure.
Awesome.
So we continue to look through this and we say the next thing is culture. And culture, I would say the first thing that you have to do before you do an initiative is assess your existing culture. So
Sure.
feedback first.
Yeah.
So you want to say, what's going on with my existing culture? How do I make it great, and what's going on? So you diagnose it, and then you're going to improve it. Because if you don't improve your existing culture, there's no initiative you can launch that is going to stick.
That's for sure.
And the other thing is fostering lifelong learning. So lifelong learning is important because you're going to see the next block is strategy.
Yes.
So if your culture is fostering lifelong learning,
Sure.
now when you get to strategy, your
Donnie, morning.
team and your people are going to bring great ideas.
For sure.
They become an asset to your strategy.
And that empowers them.
Oh,
It empowers them to bring those ideas.
it's getting exciting here.
Yes.
I mean, you
exactly.
can just feel it building.
Yeah, for sure.
Please share. Start a
So-
watch
This
party.
conversation's getting exciting.
Yeah, you're just getting fired up.
Yes.
Yeah. Man.
So
So you have lifelong learning, and when we looked at our culture, we said, okay, we want to invest in our people, and we want to continually get them to be better. So one of the things that we worked on was we said we started to do some financial training.
Sure.
So we were doing some of the FPU stuff which is a Financial Peace University,
Sure.
teaching people how to manage money and use money and invest money and
Definitely.
do different things. And that becomes something that you become addicted to because you're learning and you see the engagement of people.
yeah,
You see, they can feel that you're investing in them, and there's a mutual benefit
Sure.
to everybody. The other thing that we were working on is after that series, which we're currently in, we're using MentorBox.
nice.
So that's, if you're not familiar with that, that's a video that you watch. It summarizes a book. They have great material on there, like Navy SEALs and how to do leadership.
Sure.
And you watch that, it has an outline, and it just gets our staff thinking about how do we deliver and grow as a company and benefit everybody.
Sure.
So culture is a really important piece of that.
Without a doubt.
So moving on.
So far
Okay,
we've
yeah.
got so far on the momentum meter we have things you need to look at, and this is just get it started, right? So you have awareness, and just being aware of that you need to have momentum,
Right.
you need to change, and then
Morning,
you can look at the
Thomas.
4 things there as you look through this video of what needs done. And actually, Seth, if you don't mind, I'm going to post this picture in the video later so people can
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
can pull from it. What is the value? What is the impact you're going to have? Defining your why and your ROI, and then your culture of how important that is to make sure your people have the same vision, the same dream, but you have to make sure you know what that looks like first by getting that information from your employees.
Right.
And then
Tyler
what's
Grespin, I see you out there.
what's up, man?
Thing's pretty cool.
And then, so next is strategy. So tell us about it. Why do you need a strategy, and how does that the last point on getting this thing started?
Yeah, so strategy is so important, and I want to look. I'm going to skip one ahead to the
Chris,
leadership just so you can
you're
see
awesome,
a point
dude. Love
here.
you.
Sure.
If you look at leadership and you say, this is how, and I love this. This is your bonus right here. This is your.
Golden nugget.
It's
for
already
today.
free, but this is a golden nugget. This is how the system is typically done. You start with leadership. This is really cool, so pay attention. You start with leadership. Leadership develops strategy. They go and try to hammer it on culture. The culture rejects it because they don't see the value, and they're like, they're not even aware of the problem possibly.
Joshua, good morning.
So if you look at it the other way, we're completely reversing.
You reverse engineered the whole game.
Right. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
Because leadership always tries to drive strategy, and then they try to implement on their culture, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. They just start at the head,
Right.
at the CEO, the executive, whoever it is, and they work and they try to just
doesn't
shove
work.
it down throats. Yeah.
So we get the strategy. So our strategy has always been, and this is a fundamental concept for us, is using a balanced win triangle. So our triangle has to be balanced, and we have to win with
Kara, good
the
morning.
customer, the team member, and the company.
Sure.
That works in any organization.
Without a doubt.
And when that triangle gets skewed in any of those other ways, it's not successful.
For sure.
So our strategy always has to be aligned to the we call it the balanced win triangle. It's keeping everything together and keeping it balanced. And you can sketch that triangle any type of way. It doesn't work
Always
unless
looks the
that's
same.
as close.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
that's where we start. It's also important to leverage outside perspectives and collaborate. Collaboration is a key thing, not only internally but externally.
Sure.
Getting feedback from people, because when you're in the situation, you don't always know what's going on. People
Well,
have
yeah.
great ideas. I love to hear from other people of, what they're doing and how they're doing it, and it's terrific.
Yeah.
Using design thinking. So design thinking is a concept of it can be a little complicated to explain, or some people, I guess to break it down, but design thinking is a way of creative thinking. It's a way to ideate and test things and fail and get crazy ideas. It makes you
Sure.
think outside the box so that you're really coming up with the best solution.
Yeah.
Good morning.
There's some really good things. I would encourage you, if you're looking to solve a problem uniquely, check out design thinking and read about it, leverage it, because it's a really creative way. When we look at strategy and organization, that's what we get the people to do,
Sure.
is work on the design thinking. And at Villanova, that was their primary pillar. It was
Sure.
systems thinking, design thinking. So we learned how and worked how to break down the world's largest problems and challenges.
Sure.
The next thing with strategy is, I see this all the time, and it still happens, is alignment of incentives. So if you're going to develop a strategy, your incentives have to align with
Sure.
what you want to do. I was talking to somebody about 2 weeks ago, and they were asking for some advice on a position. They were taking a new job, and they were telling me, they said, I think I'm going to take this job. I was asking about, they said, what do you think? I
Sure.
said, this is a commission for the sales. This is how much I get with my existing book of business.
Yeah.
And I said, that's interesting. Like, what do you think? Because I don't like to always give an answer. I want to hear what
Thanks,
you're
Dave.
thinking.
Of course.
Thanks for sharing too.
Better sometimes, actually. Right.
Yeah, listen to what they're saying. So they said, well, when I calculated it, let me say this first. They were driving sales, want to drive sales, drive ahead, push ahead. He said, when I calculated it, I make more money to maintain my existing base of business.
Sure. That makes sense.
He said he makes peanuts on the new sales. So he said, this is wrong, but I think I'm just going to work on the existing business. I don't make enough to even deal with the hassle of doing the new things.
Sure.
So that's an important part. Always review how your incentives are lined
Jason,
up.
good morning.
And the
Please
different,
share this.
and
God
what I
bless you
think
all.
I've learned in the most,
John,
even in
good
my
morning.
own life, I have gotten paychecks from other people, by the way. In my own life, is incentives are different per person. And I think you need to focus on that sometimes to make sure you align those incentives with, like, some people are really driven by monetary value. Some people are really driven by time. Some people have, lots of different incentives, and to be able to know your employees from a leadership standard. Now, again, we're not working. I know which way you're working,
Right.
but make it. Do you find that some
Christian,
people
good morning.
that extra half, hey, you can head out of here. You busted your butt all week
Right.
on Friday afternoon to give them a little more time with their kid or
Oh,
family.
absolutely.
That's huge. Some of them are like, hey, if you close 3 deals by Friday, I'll give you an extra $1,000.
Right.
Like,
Share this.
and it's different.
They do it.
Everybody has different things. So, and to the person that might want time, that $1,000 doesn't mean anything. He'd rather have
Right.
the Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And the person that wants the money, he might not be incentivized by having Friday afternoon on. He'd
Right.
rather go get another deal on the books.
Absolutely. And I think the number one thing is ask. Because if you
Sure.
ask and you have if you're building that culture, so if you look back before you get to the strategy, if you're building the right culture
Definitely.
and you ask, A lot of times they'll tell you, can you believe that?
It's crazy.
But people don't ask and they try to guess. If you just say, hey, what motivates you?
Yeah.
And it can be, and asking in the beginning when you're starting a relationship or somebody's coming on your team, that's a huge thing. Like, I have kids and I want to spend time with my family, and flexibility or it is money.
Sure.
Find out what it
And
is.
any of them are okay.
Yeah.
You just need to know that person.
And it's very important to know, and I learned this, it doesn't have to be equal. That's another thing that people, it has to be fair.
Sure.
But everybody, if you customize a plan within reason, there has to be a little bit of leeway. And I know the larger you get, and in organizations that becomes more challenging.
Sure.
But as long as it's fair,
Sure.
it doesn't have to be the same.
Sure.
And that's an important thing to remember.
That's awesome.
The last point is entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. So, intrapreneurship is learning to think like an entrepreneur inside a corporation or a business.
Sure.
So if you are a entrepreneur, some of these things come natural, but working to get your people to think, to take a little bit of risk, to get a little skin in the game, to think the way an entrepreneur does, because there are benefits. When you look at the companies that have grown, and a lot of people use Netflix and Blockbuster and all those different examples, but when they start, they're thinking like entrepreneurs. And then
Sure.
they get to this point where they kind of fall off.
Definitely.
So it's important to have some of that in there. It may not have to be as aggressive in a larger business,
Sure.
but you need to have those concepts. So that's
Keep
important.
going.
part of the
Joshua,
strategy.
thanks for dropping your business. Please share this. Start a watch party. Drop what town you're from. We love to engage. We love having you here. We appreciate it and love everybody here. This is the beautiful thing about social media. Great information. Pay attention. Get a pen out.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, if you got those 4 things, you started it.
You started it.
That's if you were to go into someone's business or talk to somebody, those 4 things would be the first thing to get their momentum started in their
Right.
business. Now, you got it started, you got it rolling, everybody's on board, they're aware, you got the culture, you got the value, you've put the strategy together. What do we do?
Everybody says leadership should be first. I said no, this is where it falls right
Yeah.
here.
Nice.
So leadership, the first thing as a leader, you have to recognize that you need continuous improvement. People ask me all the time, they said, okay, you have these things going, why did you go to get an executive MBA? That makes no sense.
Sure.
I said, as a leader, I have to continue to learn.
Sure.
I have to continue to get better for my staff, for my people, for our clients, for everything. It's just, it's a part of it.
Did you read a lot?
Read a lot, listen to books,
A lot of podcasts?
podcasts.
Different people that have done it before in your industry?
Yeah, you can always. You never want to reinvent it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much out there that you can learn all the time.
Sure.
So I think that's important. So recognize that you need to continually improve. I have probably interviewed hundreds, if not thousands, of people over my 15 years, and 97.5% of them rate themselves at a 4 or 5 out of leadership. And I would say of all those people, I bet 3% were actually leaders.
Sure. I believe that.
And that's not a knock on it, but it's hard work.
Sure.
You don't get to be a leader by just waking up. It's not, and I have a lot to improve all the time, but you don't just get there by waking up. It doesn't happen.
Bob,
Sure.
Chris, good morning.
But there's a
beautiful
myth
people.
that everybody
Yes.
wakes up as a leader.
Please share
Without
this.
a
Start a
doubt.
watch party. Be engaged. We love you. Drop your town, your business. God bless you.
So we're
Nathan, what's up, man? Sorry. That's my video guy, so I
All
need to
right.
say hi. Go ahead. So we're at leadership.
Yep, leadership. So accountability is where leadership is really needed, is accountability to hold the team to strategy and goals. So when you look
Sure.
at sustaining momentum, you can't a lot of times you can start it, but where you actually drive it forward. Think about New Year's. Think about weight loss. Think about New Year's resolutions. Think about all those things that you do.
Sure.
It's a sustaining part of accountability.
Definitely.
And
Right.
that's the most important part in leadership in our model, is to say you got to hold accountable to these strategies and goals.
Nice.
And the other thing is working to keep the previous 4 gauges from slow leaks.
Sure.
So we call them slow leaks because if you don't keep a pulse on awareness, on your values, on the culture, on the strategy, they're going to leak.
It's like a tire with a nail in it.
Right. And when that leaks, it's going to be a lumpy ride again.
Sure.
So when we look at this, we say you shouldn't move on until you have a 4 out of a 5 score on each one of these. So
Sure.
at awareness, you need to be at least a minimum of 80% and have that wrapped up before you go to values.
Sure.
And if you don't have values at 80%, you can't move on. So it's very system how you do
Organized.
this. Yeah.
And system and processes are probably a very big thing in business.
You
have
have
them
to-
in place, right?
Correct. Exactly.
All right.
So that's important. That's where leadership comes in, and that's a very, very
So
important.
that leader needs to be focused on those 4 things to keep the momentum, to sustain the momentum. And if there is a nail in the tire,
Right.
instead of just refilling it and continuing to ride on it, he needs to actually take that nail out of the tire,
Right.
mend the tire, fix it, bring it back up to where that 4 or 5, and then keep it going. That's how you sustain it.
Because
Okay.
you have your culture, you have awareness, your value, your culture. Your culture is bringing the a lot of things and strategy to you. So as a leader, you're really just keeping the team accountable to what they came up with. If you have a good team, they're going to bring good ideas. They're going to throw out bad ideas.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be this person that has all the answers.
Sure.
It's best if your team. So we're creating that momentum, and leadership is holding them accountable to what they want to do.
Sure. That's awesome.
And with that triangle, keeping everybody winning will
Yeah.
make sure that the company's winning, the people are winning, and your customers winning.
Sure. That's awesome.
The next one's pretty fun because if you're keeping accountable, it's energy.
Sure.
So you have to celebrate measurable wins, and you have to be able to measure it. But you need to make plays that get people excited.
Sure.
You want to get the crowd behind you.
Without a doubt.
And that's what drives it. I think about, was it 2 weeks ago, the Chiefs were down 24-0
Yeah.
to the Texans.
Shout out to Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Eagles coach.
Jessica, Brandon, good morning, beautiful people. Post your business, share, put your town.
So down
Big-
24-0.
Big red.
Big
so
red,
let's go
baby.
Big red. So if you think about this, they were down. They couldn't get anything going. But they've been working on this stuff for a long time.
Sure.
It wasn't anything that just popped up, but they had a return.
Yep.
They had a return that got the whole crowd behind them. It changed the game. But why did the crowd get excited? Where did the energy come from? It came, so if you're not a sports person, it came because there was a measurable result. They kicked it off to maybe the 5-yard line or wherever, and they ran it to the 50,
Yep.
let's say.
Sure.
That's 45 yards. That's a measurable result. So you have to be able to measure your success, and then you throw energy behind it.
Yep.
So they had that return,
Yeah.
and the crowd.
Yeah.
So my challenge to people here is, and what we
Not
do,
only just the crowd, but sorry, not trying to cut you off there, but like when stuff like that happens, you don't just see the crowd to get that energy. The crowd's huge. But you ever see those guys get up off the field? They're hitting each other on the back of the
Right.
head. Everybody's getting ready to go,
Right.
and because everybody's excited, they
Right.
want to go get it.
Right.
And so go ahead. Sorry.
So in your no, that's good. In your organization or your business or your business unit, you have to figure out what plays get the people excited. And then get the crowd behind you. You have to define, and we work to define, what is your crowd.
Sure.
So is your crowd your bosses? Is it the executive team? Is it the local community? What is your crowd that when you start making these measurable wins,
Yeah,
that energy comes behind you? Because everybody gets that concept.
definitely.
So that is the fun part, because now you're getting pushed with this energy behind you, and you really get to excel. So that's a really fun part, and to everybody,
And
that's
it's
a
a
different
lot.
thing.
It's a lot easier too to keep the momentum going and
Right.
to keep the energy up
Right.
when people are behind you cheering you on. Like in
Exactly.
my opinion, and even if it's your teammates or a crowd or the local business or local, it's fun to be around people that are pushing you forward. Just
Oh, yeah.
like, I mean, we haven't hung out and sat together for probably 10, 12 years, since high school. But like, it's neat to watch somebody succeed that and then 12, 15 years
Go
later,
Liz.
we're sitting here
Morning.
and like, we're not going to leave here today or our podcast that we had on the other day and not hope for each other, to continue to do well
Right.
and push for each other to do well. So, it's great to have those people before you because it makes winning so much more fun. And it also
Absolutely.
makes it easier because you know that like, even if it's just a little push, somebody's got their eyes on you watching you to help you succeed and move forward. And that's important in any business. So keep rocking. I'm
Jason
sorry.
Quick, I see you out there. That's kind of fun. I like doing
I
that.
know it's fun, right?
So the last gauge is measuring and adjust. So what happens is you have to reevaluate that your momentum is still headed to the desired outcome.
Sure.
So if you're going, you set your targets, you're going this way, and the crowd gets behind you, you have to make sure you're still calling the right plays to keep you going in that direction.
Sure.
And you're going to access your other gauges, and again, this is still part of the leadership, to make sure that, did the market change? Are you still aware of what's going on in your industry?
Sure.
Is there a shift or pivot that your industry did and you weren't aware of it?
Missed it. Yeah.
You have to be aware of that. Has your culture, did something detrimental happen in your culture that's going to derail you?
Sure. That could be somebody leaving, and anything, you know?
Please share this.
Is your impact still the same that
Sure.
it was before? Is your strategy on track? Are you holding people accountable? You know, all those things, and you're just measuring and adjusting everything and ongoing. So that's basically...
And whose job is that? So, and that's just a question because I think from hearing you talk today, and this is, I think this is going to be a golden nugget, so hold on right here. To measure and adjust and know what's going on, how much of that is only leadership? Or do you trust your people now to know when some of those slow leaks are occurring?
Yeah, so I think one of the things is...
I shared too much. Man, they shut me off. Yeah, let me go. Wow. Freaking Facebook.
Well, what they do?
They shut me down. I shared too much.
From Honest Home Solutions?
Me sharing.
Oh, that's okay. We're still running on Honest Home Solutions though, right?
No. It locked my account. So, hold on.
You still alive?
I just shared too much. No, hold on. That sucks.
Hold on, we'll pick it right back up.
Okay, hold on a second. Create a new password.
We're still live.
No. Okay, well.
Oh, no we're not. I can't tell if we are or not. Nope, it froze us.
I know. This showbiz. I just shared too much. Just give me a second.
No.
Too many people live.
All right, so let me go. Hold on. Oh, so we're back live. Awesome. All right, so just give it 1 second. Just give it 1 second. I broke some rules. Is it gonna let me go back on? All right, just give me a second.
This is some good stuff though. I'll get it back on here. I'll come back. If not, I can go from my page and share.
Just give me 1 second. Guys, is it? Oh, it's. I had some Facebook shut me down for a second, so bear with me. I just shared too much. I just got back to sharing, so let's see if it's actually on or if it's tweaking out on me, which I'm totally shut down. But so, can you take a look and see? Just give me-
Are we live?
I'm trying to see if we are, so just give me a second. You can look from your page and see.
I'm still trying to figure this out. Sorry if we're live right now, guys. We
Shane shared too much. He just got back from jail.
Shane got excited on sharing.
Now they're gonna require a code from this phone.
Let me see if we are live.